Hey, what is up, fellow raiders? This is Vulcan Dan, Raid Shadow Legends video here. And yes, we just got some exciting news on some champion rebalancing coming very soon on a bunch of legendary champions. Now, Plarium has promised us that in 2022, they're going to do more of these rebalancing because, of course, there's a lot of legendary champions that are not really up to par with the other legendaries in the game. And of course, when you pull that legendary champion from Ancient Shard, Void Shard, Sacred Shard, you would want to be excited for any legendary that you pull. But unfortunately, there are some legendary champions that are subpar, and it's great that Plarium is doing this because it really makes them a lot better. All right, so let's get to it. I'm going to talk about these champions, the changes, and where they could probably be useful in the game. First one is YAKARL, the Scourge Void legendary, one of the cooler looking champions from the Barbarian faction, and he does have this unique background with the snow because all of his skills A1, A2, A3 places freeze, and that's excellent. So yeah, his A1 here, basically the change will be that this 20% will be bumped up to 40% chance of placing a freeze for each hit of his double hit. So yeah, so when booked, that is a 50% chance for each hit to place a freeze debuff. So that is a big jump. And yeah, most of the time when you're doing his A1, he will land that freeze, assuming you have built him with enough accuracy. And this down here, all of that is gone. This will be changed to will ignore 25% of the target's defense against targets under freeze, which of course he will place on all of his skills. So most likely at least one, maybe two or three of the enemy will be frozen when you use his A1. So this will ignore 25% of the target's defense. And of course, freeze will reduce the damage that the target enemy takes, but that ignore 25% defense will make up for that one. So yeah, so that's for his A1. Very good upgrade there. A2, basically the same here, but in addition, will also ignore 50% of the target's defense if they are under freeze. This one has 100% chance when booked 3-turn cooldown of placing decreased speed for 3 turns. That's a long debuff. And a freeze for 1 turn, 100% chance again on a single target, and steals 100% of the target's turn meter. That is steal. So not only will you reduce the enemy's turn meter to 0, you will get whatever turn meter he has. So that's excellent. Will also place an increased speed on himself for 3 turns. This is a very cool A2 here. Plus, will hit that much harder by ignoring half of the target's defense. And this kind of weird A3 here will be simplified. This will now be an AoE hit, a straight up AoE with 75% chance of placing freeze. You will most likely not get an additional debuff chance from books, but this 75% chance will go up to 100% chance to freeze against targets with 75% or more turn meter. And this debuff cannot be resisted by targets with 75% or more turn meter. So this is going to be excellent. Just imagine him in arena, assuming you built him really fast. He will place that freeze, and it will be unresistible, assuming they have 75% turn meter or above. Yeah, this is a good upgrade for YAKARL here. And his passive, basically, he will increase the damage that this champion inflicts by 10% for each enemy under a freeze. The more enemies that are under a freeze debuff, the more 10%, the more that 10% ramps up. 10%, 20%, 30%. Just imagine this in Spider with all of those spiderlings. Then yeah, that damage will just go up. Also decreases the damage that this champion receives by 10% for each enemy under a freeze. So that makes this a lot better because here, the original one just decreases it by a flat 10%. It does not matter how many are frozen. Increases and decreases the damage by 10% if there are 1 or more enemies under freeze. So of course, this change will make this passive a lot better. And will place an unkillable buff on this champion for 1 turn whenever they kill an enemy under a freeze debuff. So with his A1 and A2 ignoring defense, this will make the passive a lot better. All right, so these changes to YAKARL definitely makes him a lot better. We will now not be disappointed when we do pull him from a Void Shard. He is a Void Legendary Champion, so we should expect something a lot better from him. The biggest change is from his A3, which makes it a more reliable AoE freeze, because currently this one is technically, or it does not technically place a freeze. It will take a freeze from a single target and spread it to the other enemies. But if you do not have any freeze up on the enemies, this attack will not spread any of those freeze. So with the change, it will make it a flat AoE attack with AoE freeze, makes it a lot better. So definitely, if I do happen to pull him, I do not have YAKARL, but yeah, he will now be a very good Void Legendary Champion. All right, next one is Cleop Terex. Let's go to the Skinwalker now. Of course, she is a free login reward champion. If you've been playing for I think that's more than a year of playing this game. She was very underwhelming in her current kit. She does hit hard, but with the rebalancing, she will hit even harder. This A2 right here, on top of placing increased crit rate, she will also have increased crit damage on herself, and they are going to increase the damage that her A2 deals, also the damage that her A3 deals. She is a damage dealing champion. She's an attack type champion, so we do expect her to hit really hard. She does have a few things in her kit, such as this block active skill. Currently in my faction wars, I'm actually using Basher. I'm not using Cleop Terex because his A2 technically does the same thing on a 3-turn cooldown when booked. Cleop Terex has it on her A2, but it's on a 4-turn cooldown because I am not placing books on Cleop Terex. I don't think she's worth it. Is she worth the books after the buff? Maybe. It really depends on which legendary champions you have, but hopefully she will, with the damage increase, she will be a great nuker after that rebalance. So her A2 and A3, of course, her A2 has this block active skill, which I said was similar to what Basher does, but this requires a Hex. Basher does a similar thing without Hex. So yeah, so that is why I'm using Basher instead of Cleop Terex. But with the upgrade to her damage, I might start using her for Faction Wars to speed up the run, because she, of course, with the damage increase that she will have. All right, so that's number 2. Excited for that one. Hopefully, it's a substantial damage increase. Next one is from the Dwarves. We have Samar, Gem Cursed, which is, of course, one of the main champions used to kill Bommel the Dreadhorn in hard Doom Tower. I don't have him. Basically, the changes that he will have is that all of his damage will be increased from his A1, A2, and A3, which will just make your Bommel runs a lot quicker. That's it. Just damage increase across the board. Yeah. What else? Next one, we have a champion that I actually have. Is Kartosis. Yeah. He is basically the legendary version of Mausoleum Mage. He has this debuff cleanse on his A3. The problem is that this is on a 7-turn cooldown, 5-turn cooldown when booked. With the rebalancing, this will be down to a 4-turn cooldown when booked. So that is similar to what Mausoleum Mage does on his A3. There you go. 4-turn cooldown when booked. Pretty similar skill. Debuff removal on all allies, and then does a heal. The problem with this original skill setup is that he will heal first and then remove debuffs. But if you have something like a heal reduction, then that heal will not work. So now they're going to flip it around, and he will do the debuff removal first and then do the heal afterwards, and then increase your turn meter. So that is much better. But again, we have an epic champion that basically does the same thing with a similar cooldown, that just needs epic books. This guy needs legendary books. So that is a big difference. His A2 is again very similar to Mausoleum Mage's. He has a 3-turn cooldown when booked. Increase attack, increase crit rate on everyone. Mausoleum Mage does increase crit rate, increase defense, and block debuff. So it looks like Mausoleum Mage is still better in terms of A2 and A3. Skartosis' A1 is an AoE attack that has a chance to steal 1 random buff from each enemy. So this is where he does better than Mausoleum Mage. Mausoleum Mage just has a single target with a chance to place decreased speed. And Kartosis also has this increased ally speed in dungeons by 33%. I did use him for a while in my Undead Horde Faction War team with him as the lead because of this huge speed aura right here, and I place him in a stun set to make use of this AoE A1. But yes, in terms of, let's say, if you want to use him in Arena, Mausoleum Mage maybe, does kind of the same thing. So he should have more of a buff. They just simply buffed this A3 and they did nothing to his A2 or his A1. They should do more for his A2. Maybe give him another buff. Maybe make this an AoE attack as well. Something to make him definitely better than Mausoleum Mage, because as it stands now, even with this rebalancing, they're still kind of similar. All right, so and the last one we have is Nobel from the Shadowkin, and this guy, he's going to get his A3 buffed. This is an AoE attack, 100% chance when book of decreasing each enemy's turn meter by 20%. After the rebalance, this will go up to 50%. That is big. From 20% to 50%, that is big. And if there are any enemies under fear or true fear, will also fill this champion's turn meter by the amount those enemies lose. He does place True Fear in his passive whenever an enemy's turn meter is fully depleted by any champion. So it does not have to be him. Has a 50% chance of placing a True Fear debuff on the enemy for one turn. This one is on a 75% chance when booked. After the rebalancing, this will go up to 75% and then 100% chance when booked. So this will make him very good. Yeah, so he's no longer the weak link in the Shadowkin legendary. This upgrade to his A3 actually makes him a really good champion on a 3-turn cooldown when booked. Plus, paired with his A2, attacks one enemy, ignores 30% of the target's defense, fills this champion's turn meter by 25% after attack. This is on a 2-turn cooldown when booked. Not a lot of skills in this game are on a 2-turn cooldown. And if the target is under fear or true fear, decreases the cooldown of the dismay skill by 1 turn. Of course, if you proc this passive a lot, hopefully you will place those fear or true fears. And dismay is already on a 3-turn cooldown. This will bring that down to a 2-turn cooldown. So yeah, so he will use his A2 and A3 a lot. Definitely 2 skills on 2-turn cooldowns, assuming that you have targets under fear or true fear. You can pair him up with a Harvest Jack, someone that places that can also reduce the enemy's turn meter, someone like a Razin. If you use Razin in Arena to go first, he will proc his passive right here, place those true fears, and then he will go into his A3 and decrease their turn meter again. So they will probably never get a turn. If they do get a turn, they're under true fear. And if maybe you can pair them with this guy, YAKARL, yeah. And then they're feared, they're also frozen. And yeah, I think it's all of these champion rebalancing makes for a lot of different things that we can try to do in Arena. Some more fun things so that we don't have to use the same champions over and over again. I really want to use all of these other legendary champions. All right, so I'm really excited for these changes. For these 5 champions, I actually only have Cleop Terex and who's the other one? And it's Kartosis. I don't have the other 3, but this makes me excited to pull them during a ×2 or a ×10 shard event, which of course, if you are pulling a legendary champion in this game again, we do not want to be disappointed. So yes, I'm very excited for these changes. Looks like Plarium is still doing a good job with this rebalancing. I remembered back in the day when just a few months ago we had that Tomb Lord rebalance, made him a really good champion. I'm really looking forward to more of these things. All right, are there some legendary champions that you need to see rebalance? Let me know in the comment section down below. Let's see what we can do to make them better. Maybe Plarium will see this video and maybe we will get that rebalance soon. Hope you found this video useful. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you guys in my next one.